This podcast is brought to you by Andersen Windows. Dude, I was watching the video on YouTube the other day of that 2x4 smashing the glass.
Yeah.
It is so much cooler watching it on video
You
because
think? I thought it was cool.
it was cool in person, but like that thing came out of the cannon so fast that it was like we do the countdown and then it hits and it's like you blinked and it was like, wait, I want to see like what happens when it hits the glass. And so watching it on video was super cool because obviously he's able to slow it down and just see it, hit the glass over and over and over.
Fair enough. But maybe it's just because you didn't push the button, the
Well,
launch
that is true.
button.
I mean, that's because I lost the rock, paper, scissors shoot.
Next
Yeah.
time.
But if you want to see that video, head over to YouTube to take a look behind the curtain at Andersen's Craftsmanship. This is an unprecedented behind-the-scenes look at their manufacturing facilities in Bayport, Minnesota.
During our time together, we created 3 immersive videos providing a firsthand account of what sets Andersen apart, a meticulous exploration of what actually makes them different and better. Discover the artistry behind their windows and doors crafted with precision and passion. This is more than just a tour, it's an intimate experience that showcases Andersen's commitment to quality, innovation, and the enduring legacy we build together.
So make sure you head over to Andersen Windows YouTube channel because the videos are posted there. But we did post a couple of them on our YouTube channel as well. So make sure you don't miss the chance to witness that craftsmanship at a whole new level. And yes, for those that have been mentioning it in the comments, yes, we got special permission to film in an otherwise no film zone.
It's true.
So la-di-da. This podcast is also brought to you by Buildertrend. It's no secret that the industry is facing a labor crisis. With too many jobs and not enough workers, how can you keep your business from drowning?
The short answer? Technology.
Well, Buildertrend has put together a comprehensive guide to help you navigate the labor shortage and how to use their software to do more with fewer workers.
Inside, you'll find 5 strategies for making the most of your existing workforce, an in-depth overview of the shortage and how it's impacting the industry today, and Q&A with the chief economist at Builder Magazine, sharing how builders can continue to succeed and what to expect next.
I think, just to go off script for a moment, Tyler, I think that they're spot on where, there's a huge demand for work and there is the increasing or the decreasing workforce and fewer workers. And even those that are in the field, it's, do we have the right expectations for them? Are we setting them up for success? And it just becomes one of the more challenging parts of our industry. So if you want Buildertrend's inside look at that, go download the free ebook at buildertrend.com/labor shortage and help prepare for 2024. All right, guys. Well, we are coming live from the Rockwell booth at the International Builder Show 2024 with Kyle, R&R Builders. Builders. I screwed that up.
I'd say buildings.
Buildings.
Yeah, buildings.
I mean, it's one or the other.
It really doesn't matter. I don't have like an ego issue where if you say builders, I'm going to get mad, dude.
You're not going to Dana White us and just
No.
walk off.
It's been a while since I've been on your guys' podcast.
It has been.
Yeah.
And we've never done it live together, have we?
Never done it live. So I'm really nervous.
Are you really?
No.
I was going to say.
Say, man, you do so much and then we make you nervous?
No, I'm all good.
What is new in the barn building world?
So I think because of guys like you on social media, I've really tried to implement more high-end stuff into the post-frame industry, so building science. It's like we're here at the Rockwell booth. I mean, utilizing higher-end materials to just give a better product instead of just doing status quo, which, I'll be honest, my industry, the post-frame industry, is really, really lacking. We're still doing what we did 10 years ago. And so my biggest goal over the last couple of years has been trying to push that industry forward and try to, learn from what's going on like here and try to start using better methods, more building science and understanding what's going on in your wall.
I think that's interesting, and I've seen a lot of your content shift to that, right? Where you're doing insulation, you're doing the Siga, you're doing all of these membranes, you're doing the under slab membrane, but for a long time, I mean, a barn is a barn, and it was not a conditioned space.
I think they're called pole buildings.
Pole buildings.
We call them barns.
I'm just gonna keep talking.
I feel like that's
because I don't like.
I
this
feel like
guy.
that's derogatory.
Which one?
Demeaning. Barns.
No, I think that there's just it's pole barn. Everybody sees a pole barn and they think, oh, it's a pole barn. And there's a difference between a pole barn, a post frame, timber frame. And I just think, we've taken the pole barn and we've kind of upped the ante. So I don't want to call it a pole barn.
Fair.
It's a post in the ground. That's
Sure.
a metal skinned exterior.
What I'm getting at is it went from these unconditioned buildings to people are conditioning them, and they're being used for residents. They're being used for commercial aspect. What is that? What drove the reason to insulate, to get into the high performance wall assembly? Is it that people are utilizing them for other means and needs?
Yeah, I think, when you start to learn building science, it's almost impossible not to incorporate it because you start thinking, if I do this, I know the effects. And so the more I learned, the more I was like, okay, we're taking a building that was typically used and heated to maybe 50 to 60 degrees, no inhabitants, no one's cooking in there, no one's showering in there, they're just storing equipment, maybe they're working. You can't do the same wall assembly and system and then go live in it and expect it to operate the same way. So I just felt like there was a need to incorporate some more science into that wall assembly to make sure that we were not building to a standard that was acceptable and what was being done by everybody else. And then 10 years from now, we might realize that was a bad decision.
I would assume that what you're doing is similar to working on an older house, right? Where like your building was meant to, if water got in, it could get out.
Yeah,
right?
typically like that was the old way. You didn't even have anything underneath your metal. It was just an open frame. So if water got back there, hey, it'd run down the metal and hopefully it goes out the bottom.
Yeah, so it's like most of the homes I work on that we remodel, they're old homes and there's nothing in the walls. And sometimes there's like structural clapboard with nothing over the studs. And so it leaks, but it doesn't create an issue. It's once we start retrofitting them and making them more comfortable, which is the same exact thing as you're doing, that you start having issues.
Yeah, and honestly, the water is not usually the issue because they say if water, if wood gets wet, it's not a problem. It's when it stays wet. So if you're allowing it to dry, then you're okay. And then that's when people are like, well, then that's why you should let your house breathe. Well, that's not really advantageous because now we have air leakage everywhere and we have a super inefficient structure. And so you have to, like you said, start tightening them up, and then you run into the issues if you're still doing it the old-fashioned way versus adapting these new, building science methods, which they aren't that new.
Yeah.
They're just new for my industry.
Yeah.
And it's people look at it and say, nobody's going to pay for that. Well, no, you have to educate why they should be paying for that, why it's going to help them. I mean, it's a totally different system in the post-frame industry, but I think it has upped the ante, and I've heard a lot of positive feedback from people out there.
It's specifically like clients in terms.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy because at this show specifically, I had a couple people come up to me and they said, I'm a builder. And I've got clients that said, this is how I want it built. And they show them a video series of one of the barn doors we built. And they're like, yeah, we don't do it like that, but we'll learn.
Yeah.
And so then they're, diving into the videos and they're trying to learn. And I'm not saying I even know what I'm doing all the time.
Sure.
I like to say, if a doctor can practice medicine, like, why can't I practice carpentry? I'm always like just doing what I think is good and then trying to pivot where I feel like, yeah, that was not the best decision.
It's funny you bring up like another builder's seeing your video through
customer.
Well, a customer's bringing that video, but another builder's seeing it and saying, oh, I don't operate that way. And we've had similar experience, and I've had some of those builders, good and bad, reach out to me saying, hey, you're really screwing things up for me. Like, that's just not the way I build it. But and then I have others where it's like, hey, my client brought this video. I'd love to understand, like, why did you do this, or how did you accomplish this? And I think it's interesting because you produce so much content. We produce content. We're all producing content to essentially share almost live, right? Like a lot of the stuff that you're doing from when you're cutting Rockwell into the bays or you're installing Siga. Like sometimes this is the first time you're doing it, or in the first 5 times you've done it, right?
Right.
And the point I'm making is that you're sharing as you're learning. and you're teaching as you're learning. And the benefit to that is that, you know, everyone here that gets to watch that video learns from it.
Well, I think more importantly, dude, they can tell me I'm doing it wrong before I get too far down the road, because you know, as soon as you post it on the internet, they're gonna let me know I did it wrong.
You know, I'll tell two stories, and they both happen to involve Rockwell. And I had installed, you know, one time I had actually installed the product incorrectly, and I got called out in a video. And Rockwell was great. I called them. We hopped on a call. We worked through the details. Ended up not being that big of a deal, but it was wrong. And I addressed it, and I posted an apology video, like, hey, I steered you guys in the wrong direction. But another time, I got a call at 6:26 a.m. and I didn't answer because I'm not answering my phone before 7. And I get this like 4-minute voicemail, and I'm on my way to a job, and it's in my truck, and I press play, and he's like, hey, my name is so and so. I live in blah blah blah. I'm a builder. I just want to let you know that your install of the comfort bat, it was absolute shit. And I don't know if I can swear on the Rockwell booth, but I just did. And he went on to say like how I'm, you know, an ambassador for the industry, like I should be promoting great work. And I was, you know, at this point I'm like, what did I do wrong? So I watched the video, I watched the whole thing, and I can't see it. And this is when I reached out to Rockwell, and I was like, hey, do you mind doing me a favor? Like, I just posted this video, and I got this insane voicemail that I did it wrong. I will literally rip the wall open if this is wrong. And they watched the video, and they said, no, class 1 install, like, everything's great, you know. And I listened to the voicemail again, and he was talking about the wrinkles in the bats. And I'm like, they're manufacturing wrinkles. Like, it was bizarre. But my point is that we put it out there for both the feedback, but also the education, right? We want to share, like, hey, this is how we've done it. If we're wrong, tell us, and we'll fix it. We're open to doing that.
Yeah, well, that's the whole beauty of it, is that we're posting it most of the time, I think, because we want that feedback.
Yeah.
We want to know how can we do it better. And if I'm doing it for the first, second, third time, I'm not a pro, but I at least hopefully understand why I'm doing it. And if I can improve the install or the end result, like that's the beauty of the social media aspect.
I think the most difficult part about what you're doing also is that there's not a ton of information before you with the structures that you're building, right? People are using these, but you're putting products together that typically aren't working in conjunction with each other. So how difficult has that been for you, and how much risk is there where it's like, hey, we're going to start implementing products, processes, and systems that don't necessarily exist together right now? It's almost like, why?
That's a good point. I mean, it's not because we're at Rockwell, but just recently we did the Rockwell install on my own personal shop. And, you know, Randy Williams was staying here. We just did a presentation, and he did a barn door Rockwell install where they, every like 10 feet, they would put another board, because they're like, or we assumed we can't stack Rockwell that tall. It's gonna want to, you know, crush down. It's gonna compress, all this other stuff. And so it's like, well, I'm building my own shop. If it doesn't work, I'm the one that's out, right? So now is the time to try a different process. We stacked the Rockwell 5 bats high, 4 bats wide inside this 8-foot bay. And not only did it not compress, it didn't move, but then I was like, I'll pull out the bottom ones. Will this whole thing crumble? It didn't even move. So then it's like, well, Rockwell, I don't know that you really need I mean, maybe you want to still do it for some preservation of whatever, but I would never put a board in there. I don't have any thermal bridging, and I'm not going to add a thermal bridge just to support it, because I feel 100% comfortable in the product now. And that's like learning through doing.
Yeah.
Right? So nobody else is building a post frame that I've seen, or they're not sharing it with like building science in mind. And I just feel like what an opportunity, because it's really the hottest thing I hear about. Everybody wants a barn dominium. I mean, I get call after call after call. I run into people all over the show that are like, yeah, my customers want a barn dominium. I don't think they understand quite what a barn dominium is, and I think there's a lot more to it than that. But it's all about, I think, showcasing it to a degree that you can feel good that people, if they follow you, they're not going to come and be like, yo, I built it like you, and then I had this moisture problem, or it's super inefficient. Like, I just want to do good work so that I can feel good about the people watching the videos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you film the 5 high 4
Oh,
wide?
yeah.
You posted it?
I don't think I posted it on like a short form social. It hit the YouTube.
Definitely
and
went somewhere because I saw that. Maybe it was Rockwell.
I actually think I might have posted like a story on my Instagram. I mean, it's crazy. It's 20 feet
Well, that's
tall.
what I feel like if I saw that, I'd be like, I want to know
I
if it
saw
falls.
it. So it definitely went somewhere.
Oh,
Yeah.
you know what? I don't think I posted the video pulling out the bottom.
Oh, that's what
think
that's
that,
what I'd like
that
to
is
see,
only on
yeah.
YouTube. So I should probably pull that out because I think it's valuable. I think it's like, it's crazy. I just pulled out the bottom and it all stood.
But I think the point here, right, is we're talking about trying these things, and we're filming this stuff live, we're sharing it live, and oftentimes we are wrong or we have wrong information. But the point is like it's this conversation,
Yeah.
and in the moment it's a conversation, with Randy, right? You're on site, you're doing it,
Yep.
but then you're filming it and you're putting it out to the world where they can respond to it. It's like, hey, don't do that, or I've done that and it's failed. And I think that's for me like where the biggest benefit is, that when we've done something, I'll get that DM saying, hey, just an FYI, I've done that and it looks good, it works now, but it's going to fail.
Yeah.
And that is super valuable.
Well, it's pretty humbling too, and I think a lot of people when I'm talking to other, I hate to use influencers because I don't think that's what we are, but people that are posting a lot of their lives on social, and they're like, oh, how do you deal with the haters? What do you do about the haters? And we all get them. But at the end of the day, there's probably 50% of them have something that is factual. Like they actually feel like we're doing something wrong.
Well,
you got to look at it.
Well,
you got to think.
You got a little sassy recently with someone calling you out for the efficiency of cutting the rock wall.
Oh yeah. Well, I just think that's funny.
And I laughed out loud on that.
Yeah. It's good to have some reverse trolling going on once in a while, but I think the point is, like you said, we're doing it in real time.
Yeah.
But you have to also be humble enough to say, yeah, okay, you're being an asshole. Once again, sorry for cussing in the Rockwell booth, but I actually kind of understand where you're coming from, and maybe that I could make a small change. Like I don't believe you 100%, but you might have some a leg to stand on. So I'm going to look at my system and I'm going to see if I can make it a little better.
I want to address something you said, kind of off topic for a moment, but you said I don't really think that we're influencers because that's not who we are. But I think influencers, just generally speaking, gets a bad a bad rep. We are, and Tom Silver is an influencer, and he's been for 40 years on This Old House. Like we are influencing the market, and we're influencing decision making.
You have to consider what you're influencing. Like if you're just influencing product, right? And like,
sure,
that's one thing. But I just had this conversation with somebody in another booth. I'm not going to name them. They're not a competitor, but like we are able to influence the industry and people who have similar companies or younger men and women who are starting companies. And for me, like, not that I want to be known as an influencer, but there's value there where it's like we can influence our own industry in residential remodeling or building, which is really important. So I look at it from that aspect where it's not like I'm not influencing you to buy this, but rather like this is how you can operate your business. These are the products that you can use. And I think that there is value there.
Yeah, I guess the influencer word sounds dirty because you think of apps like TikTok.
Product pusher.
Yeah, and product pushing. I like to say like I'm educating to steer the industry. I just want to educate what I find, what we do, what works, what doesn't work, and hopefully that can help other people make similar good decisions. I always tell my kids, the best lessons to learn are the ones where you learn from other people's mistakes. And so I made mistake after mistake when I started my business because I didn't have anybody. It was just me, and I didn't go to trade school. And so I made a lot of mistakes, and that took me a long time to learn anything. And now, if I have to do a detail, I can go to the internet, and I'll watch somebody do it well, and I'll be like, yep, now that makes sense. That just wasn't there, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, was so powerful.
So your pole barn, pole building, I was the one who made a point of that earlier. They're getting more complex and you're adding more details to them. And I guess the allure with the pole building is that it's going to be less expensive to get the size and the structure that you want. Do you have to be careful that you're not integrating so much that you're creeping into the price point where it's like, well, let's just build a conventional building?
Well, I think that is the case if you're trying to build a high-end post-frame structure and compare it to a standard stick-built home. But I think if you're looking at, like, we've done 2 blower door tests on our last 2 barn doors, and they've been sub-passive.
Wow.
That is with little effort. And I mean that sincerely, that I didn't do a ton of education. We just did good detail work, but the whole building itself is built in the design is such that it makes the process easy, right? So we're still going out, maybe we're using products that are more expensive, but on the labor side, I'm able to, with 2 guys, I feel like build a much better home, something that's going to perform, going to last, for, if not similar, less than a standard stick framed home. And that's just by the nature of our structure and the design.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. That would be my biggest concern, where it's like you're going to be building these buildings that are so complex. But I guess you also, it's 2 different customers, right? You have a customer who wants one thing and wants another thing, and they're 2 completely different things. But I do feel that you're going to continue to push the limits where you're creeping up on this being closer to a conventionally built building.
Yeah, I think so. But I will always say that I think we will perform better at the price point comparable to a stick-built house. And that's, you obviously can't always put apples to apples, because you guys know I'm building mainly a box.
Yeah.
It's a Yeti cooler, you know. I just do good air sealing and it performs well. You guys are doing something that has ins and outs and angles and roof lines and all this other stuff, which I'm in the Midwest, you guys are East Coast. Our markets are not even the same. I mean, people want simple, they want space for family, and they're not always so worried about what the building or the house looks like. But I think we do a good job of turning a barn into something that, hey, that's respectable and it looks good, and I don't think there's any cows in there, you know?
Yeah.
So, sub-passive is impressive, and you talk about the fact that some of these materials are more expensive, but correct me if I'm wrong, you're not using high-performance doors and windows, are you?
No, I used on the last one that was a .45 ACH 50. It was, we used Andersen 100 series.
Yeah, I think, that's super impressive. And
Yeah.
I think that
My window package was about $5,000, patio door, So yes.
I have a window more than that.
Trust me.
I literally just bought a window that was more
and
than
I'm not
that.
saying that for
No,
clout. I'm
but
saying that it's just like, I think that's really like inspiring to hear, where it's like, oftentimes you hear it's like, well, I can't build sub-passive, like the window package is going to be $100,000 and all of these things, where you're literally proving the point that this is just intentional detailing.
Yeah, I think that the misconception in our industry is if you start to go to high end, we overcomplicate things because people like
Or high
to
performance.
What was that?
High performance.
What'd I say?
High end.
Okay, high performance,
Yeah.
that you need to overcomplicate the details. But I always say that I think the details are just who is doing the work, and you can use inferior products and do really good work and perform better than somebody who uses the best of the best and just doesn't take the time to do the work.
Right.
And I think that's what it always boils down to, and that's where the education side of our industry is lacking. That, it's I get so mad when somebody says, "Oh, I'll never use, let's say, Siga Myrex on my job because it takes too long to install." And you're like, "Well, what actually do you want to use? You just want to throw up like a huge piece of visqueen on your wall and say it's good enough? I mean, how much more time actually does it take to run 2 rolls of Myrex?" It's just an education thing. They think that the time is the only way that they're going to make money, but at the end, when you offer value, you can also, increase your prices. And people, if they see that and understand it, they will pay for it.
Yeah. What is your backlog now? Like you alluded to it earlier, that people constantly reach out to you for about barndominiums, and you see people at the show asking you that they want, like we talked about on the last podcast, that you don't want to travel. Like you've been offered to build barndominiums probably around the country or maybe even the world at this point, I'm sure. But what?
Yeah. I mean, it's like my backlog is pretty darn big if I take the work that comes. But my goal is I've gotten to the point where I've had a 2-year backlog.
Yeah.
I don't want that, because the fun projects that come along, you can't do. So I think I've learned over the years, and I think every contractor goes through this, and it's like you start to learn what you want to do, what you're good at, and you have to be able to say, hey, man, that's just not a fit for me and my company. And so by doing that, I've tried to keep sub 1 year.
Yeah.
So this year's booked. If you wanted to build, I just couldn't do it this year. But most people, if they're building their dream home, a year's not, they can wait a year.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's a comfortable spot. So I can continually say no, or you're not a good fit, hoping that year is always kind of the is sitting out there available to the good project that comes around.
What's your typical duration of build? And obviously you're looking to build more complicated homes, but like how long is it typically from start to finish taking you to build something?
I mean, the last barn dough we built that was about just under 7,000 square foot, and that was a sub. It was like a 4.8 or something, so sub passive. That whole thing was probably 6 months with another build in between there because we were waiting on like drywallers and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's just me and one guy though, and we self-performed most everything, not mechanicals, but trim and cabinetry, did it all.
So I guess where I'm going with that is that like your lead pool is going to be way bigger than you need, and it's the same thing that I go through. So it's like if the funnel starts very big at the top, by the time I'm really entertaining a lead, it's very slim. So how are you vetting all of these like I would assume that you're getting way more leads than I am just due to your social following and everything else. So how much of your job is taking care of these leads and vetting these clients where it's like, all right, I can do 2-3 projects a year?
Well, I mean, the first thing I do is I try to funnel them all through like email, so I get them into an email.
Yeah.
And then the next step for me is who's closest? Who's closest, okay? And I don't want to travel, so if I can walk out my back door.
What's close in the Midwest?
Like less than 30 minutes.
Okay, that's close.
So that's close to me.
That's
I don't want to travel further.
So basically you know them.
Well, they probably, their last name rings a bell, But no, and then for me, it's like, what's your project? What's your lead time? And how does that fit into my availability and then also my interest, Because I don't want to do status quo. So if somebody's out there saying, hey, we want you to build this, but we're not, we don't need anything fancy. We just want something simple. Whatever it is, it's like, well, that's cool, but I don't want to do simple.
Yeah.
I want to challenge myself, and I also want to make content that's going to help people. And if I just do the same simple all the time, there's not really much joy in that. So that really knocks down people, or it can knock down the people real quickly.
So, and I would assume it's similar to what I'm doing, but you established and created a market that didn't exist.
Right.
Like in your area. How difficult was that? And do you think that you could have done that without your social influence?
No, not at all. I mean, social media gave me the opportunity to tell the story that I wanted versus somebody. Word of mouth. Word of mouth is great, dude. I mean, when somebody is a word of mouth customer, they already came to you because they were told that you guys are the best person for the job. So that's like an easy buy right there. But with social media, people can creep on you for years.
Yeah.
And they can watch you consistently. They can see what you're doing. And by continually kind of upgrading our systems, bringing in better materials, the next person that is waiting for us to build for them, like they're out there watching right now. And so I'm not worried about trying to find a client that will pay us to do this high-end build because they're already out there looking and trying to learn as much as possible. And when they're ready to pull the trigger, they'll call and be like, I'm not even getting another quote.
Yeah.
I haven't done a quote in years. No estimates, no quotes. It's just it's a trustworthy, exchange of relationship, I guess. I mean,
hold on.
It's the only way that you can, though. Like, if you want to be doing the work that you're doing, you have, and like, your premium is your premium. You have to find the customer who just wants you to do it and doesn't want any other pull.
Yeah, but to be honest, we're not even a premium, dude. I mean, that 7,000.
You're humbling.
No. I mean, I'll give you an instance. That 7,000 square foot barn dough. It was passive. It was gorgeous. Customer loves it. I mean, just what would you think the cost might be?
Oh, I have no idea.
I mean,
tell me what you charge per square foot, and I'll figure it out.
Less than $100.
Less than $100?
Yeah,
a foot.
Yeah.
I mean, that's hard to.
Yeah, I know, and everybody is always like, there ain't no way. There's
but
no
you only
way.
had a $5,000 window package.
No. This one was much more. Those were I think those were Pella, maybe Architectural Series. Is that?
Yeah.
Oh no, not Pella. What's the other one? Whatever. Those were nice pillows. Nice Pellas.
I mean that number is insane.
It is.
But I don't like.
But it's also volume. So the
no,
bigger
I understand.
you get, it's cheaper. So
I don't actually
I trust that like that's a number, but when Tyler says premium and the way I think about it, it's not necessarily like, hey, I'm charging X amount per foot, like because I can build something at $800 a square foot and make no money on it.
100%, yeah.
So and have that be a deal or be really expensive for a client. It's all relative. I think the point is that or at least my take on it is that when Tyler says that you do have a premium, you're building a better product.
Yeah.
So someone else could come in there and build the same thing. I'm using air quotes for anyone that's listening, but the same thing and do it at a even lesser price point and still deliver a 7,000 square foot. It's a premium, but you're getting more. That doesn't mean you're making more money. Right. You could be making the same exact margin, the same exact dollar value, but it's just a more premium product.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of square foot pricing. That's not how I operate, but.
So can I go back for a minute, because you said you don't do quotes and it's built on trust, and I understand that, but and is there ever a price?
Oh, you know how that situation, I'll never forget it, because I sat with the client for the first time and on the property, and we talked, and it was like, all right, this is what we want, this is our budget, and their budget was $1 million. Okay, so right off the bat you're thinking, why didn't you charge them $1 million? Why didn't you build $1 million home? This is not how I operate. But the best part was the wife said, we're not really concerned about the details. We know what we want. We have a drawing of what we want. And at the end, we just want to make sure. My husband's a big cook, and he wants a wool stove, and he wants a Sub-Zero stand-up fridge freezer combo, right? Which was like $40-some thousand bucks.
The other
but
6,000,
the other stuff
6,905
doesn't matter.
Yeah. So they were joking with me.
Yeah.
They were like, we trust you.
Yeah.
So we want this, we'll work, and there's changes that go along the way, and they understand, it's not like cost plus where I'm like literally showing them every detail. It's just, hey, this is where I'm at. So can I get a draw? And they're like, yeah. And I feel like you don't get that if you just go meet a customer. If you find a customer through an ad or whatever, you get that through years and years. Like his brother tried getting me to build him a house years before that I didn't even realize until I talked to him later. That family had watched us build for years.
Yeah. That sounds like a fight. Like if my
Did
brother
you end up building the
No,
the
because
brothers.
he was too far away. He was like an hour drive.
You're 31 minutes. He's 29.
Yeah. Great people, and I think that's a Midwestern thing a little bit. There was no contract, so
that's crazy.
It's a handshake, and it's your name always at stake.
Sure. I mean, I think that I hold a good reputation with my clients, and they trust me, but there's never been a situation where it's just, my budget's this, as long as you don't exceed that, I'm good.
Yeah.
They still want to, like everyone that we've ever worked with, they still want to understand, like, is it $1 million or is it 700?
Yeah, well, I mean, right away I said, it won't be that much. I mean, I said maybe plan 750 because, maybe it will be right around 100 or whatever. Yeah. And I also knew that her husband wanted me to build him a shop. So it was like, well, I mean, we'll burn up the $1 million if you want. We'll do a shop too.
Right.
But the point is that I just, post frame is just in such a way that you don't have to charge those same dollars, because I think it's a simplified process.
Yeah.
So everybody moves through it a lot quicker.
Right.
And you're still spending a lot on materials, but the labor is reduced just by the sheer design of the system. Everything that you do,
you're getting a lot of
big.
cubic volume really quickly.
When you're insulating, it's a 80-foot long wall.
Right.
Filled with windows, and we do things to make it look better, drops, roof lines.
Sure.
But yeah, it's awesome.
So your ideal situation or your ideal client or project, beyond being within a 30-minute radius, you're looking for more of the complicated or full tilt building where it's not just, hey, build me a shop, uninsulated, super simple, I'm going to store a couple tractors.
Oh no, dude, those are that's where the money is.
So you are doing that.
I still do those, and I still try to fill the schedule. My whole goal is, I would like to do one of those builds a year.
One of the more complicated ones.
Yeah. And then just kind of, because when you start dealing with subs, you've got downtime, you've got, delays in material supply chain. So we'll go spend 6 weeks here and go do something else, or 4 weeks or whatever it is.
You hate the square foot number, but what's a square foot for a tractor shop?
Well, the number that I've been hearing lately for like a nice insulated shop.
Uninsulated.
Uninsulated? Oh, shoot.
Are we sub 50?
Oh yeah, yeah. Insulated, maybe like in the 35 to 40 range. Yeah, like a nice insulated shop.
Do most people do like I know if you get them priced near us, nobody includes concrete. So does that include concrete?
Yeah, I think you would do concrete for
Slab.
40. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, probably. I mean, it's volume. You're
6 weeks, you said. Yeah.
But like my neighbor just got a building put up, and I think it's 30 by 40 attic trusses, and it took him 3 days.
yeah.
You know, I mean, it was a crew of a bunch of guys, but
Right.
like, it doesn't seem like a lot of money. But when you realize how efficient it is and how quickly they're getting that, I mean, that didn't include the concrete, but like to get the building up and going, and it had a lean-to off the back, like it's quick money.
Yeah, it's hard money.
Yeah,
So that's the other
It's
side of it is,
labor-intensive,
I'm
yeah.
40 now, so I'm looking at it like we used to go put up a 40 by 60 in 2 days with
Yeah.
3 guys. You know, that was just a normal. You would show up, pile of material, and you'd be getting a check in 2 to 3 days.
yeah.
Are you slower now?
I'm like that good Toby Keith song. You know, I'm not as good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I ever was. It's all on
I
the
don't even
recovery.
know if those are the words. I feel like
Sounds
you're
right.
close.
Someone fact check me. I
Poor
don't know.
Toby Keith.
Yeah, something like that. But it's also preservation of body.
Sure.
I know I'm not getting younger, and I want to, by focusing on like higher detailed things, I can also slow down, get a little bit more, you know, intimate into the project, and not.
I think that the better that you get at something as well, you get faster and more efficient with a lot of things, but then you start integrating more complex details or things where it's like,
Slows you back
when I
down.
first started doing bathrooms, I could do a bathroom in 2 weeks, and now it's like it would take me 6 weeks to do a bathroom because I'm just integrating so many more details.
I mean, I told this story on one of my end weeks about the truck I've been building, and it's like I built it, learned so much, and then I ripped it apart and did it again, and I did that 4 times. And I think that's what I think a lot of us deal with. That is like we do something, we learn so much from it, and then the next time we do it, we're more efficient. But exactly what you said, it's like we're integrating more to it because we know we can produce a better product.
Yeah.
And it's this constant like faster, but then we get more complicated, faster, more complicated.
Yeah.
And ultimately, you know, getting to the highest quality we can produce.
But I think that's the whole point. If you're not learning, you're dying, you know? So it's like if you're just doing status quo, you know, you might as well quit. There's really...
So off mic, and you had mentioned something about potentially building on spec. I don't know if you want that on mic or not.
Oh,
but
no, I think it would be great for me.
What,
I mean...
yeah, what's that mindset? Because I'm dabbling in that now. I'd love to hear from your side.
Well, I just think we have the opportunity to... I mean, I'm trying to get the opportunity to maybe build spec so I can really... I can do exactly what I want. I can try new things like I'm doing on my own personal shop now, but also, I mean, wouldn't it be nice to buy a home from somebody that you could watch be built?
Yeah,
I mean, it's literally the number one thing.
I'm literally banking on that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what we're doing. We're building so that people can see how we operate, our quality, the care we take. And so I already do it for other people. Why wouldn't I do it for myself? That's what I'm like, thinking about is building spec, but mainly so that I can go out and learn about a new product that might solve a problem for me and not require my client to pay me to do it. I'll just do it for myself and then hopefully show the value, learn from it, and then sell it. So
I think my take on it too is, and similar reason why I got into it is that you're productizing, right? Now, rather than going through the decision-making process with the client and having them make all these selections, they've already bought into what you're doing. They've liked what you do. And if you introduce like, hey, we can build and you can be part of this, and we're gonna ask you a bunch of questions, and you're gonna answer, and we'll build it to suite. A lot of people don't want to go through that.
No.
They're like, you know what? Like, I'll answer the questions and I'll be part of the process. But if I have the option to just buy exactly what I want, or it's close enough, and I can have it now instead of 6 months from now or a year from now, I'm gonna do that. And I had a client. It was the same thing. She wanted to build a house. We spent 5 months trying to find her a property to build a home. She called me one day and said, I have bad news. And I was like, what's the bad news? She goes, I bought a house. I was like, you wanted to build something. Like, you wanted it to be custom tailored. She goes, I just realized it was going to take 2 years. And this house was done. And in that
that's our
moment,
society.
yeah, and in that moment, I realized that if I can productize because she wanted to work with me because of what we've done. You know, all of our portfolio, right? So now if I can take that and plug it into a spec and say, hey, here it is, it's done. You can have it now.
The other thing is how many people build a house custom and then they get in there and they're like, well, what would you have done differently? and they still want to change things. So even if you take the time to build and design something custom, you get in it and you live in it differently than you anticipated. So it's like you're still going to want to change things. So there's not that much different from a spec. You know what I mean?
Are we trying to talk people out of building custom homes or something?
Possibly.
Well, I think the productization of building is something that needs to be taken more seriously, because right now and especially on the more premium product,
Right.
where it's like I look at our market in Boston, which I know is like very different than a lot of places, but I'm looking at homes, open house, new spec home, 9,000 square feet. They're asking $6-7 million for it. I'm walking around and I'm like, the quality's not there. It just doesn't exist. And not only that, but it's also just a blank box.
Yeah.
And someone has to buy it, and they either living it as a white box, or then they have to hire an interior designer and then spend another $250,000 updating it or customizing it. But they're and they're selling. They're selling immediately. So I think that there's a demand for a product that is of premium, that is done, and it's tailored to a high level of detail that a client wants.
Yeah, I think so.
I found pretty interesting about what we're doing and where the industry has been trending is that as you're pushing the limits of what you're doing, we have access to product engineers and system engineers that can help us integrate new systems and ensure that products are playing well together. And I know Rockwool does that a ton, and they specialize in that. Can you speak at all to what that's been like on the engineering end of things, or ensuring that what you're doing is done correctly while working with a company like Rockwool?
Well, I mean, yes and no. I mean, Rockwool has done, they've ran the numbers. They've said, this is, where your dew point is. This is, what you should be doing. Maybe you should put some exterior insulation. They've done all that for me. But at the end of the day, our building specifically, and I don't know if this is exactly the answer to your question, but it's already it's a pre-engineered building package, right? So basically we're building this shell, and then we're able to just kind of, it's like a commercial property that you're just build to suit, we just do whatever we need to on the inside.
Yeah.
So we're not really needing to go through any of the engineering per se. I'm just more or less, there is nobody in the post frame industry that is, doing wall assembly calculations and R value they're not doing that. It's just not there. I have to go into this space.
And that's, I guess, where I was going with that question, where it's like, all right, now I'm using a product that isn't typically used in this manner in these type of buildings. How am I ensuring and covering my ass that I'm not doing something that's going to fail down the road? And I think that we have access to answers and companies who are willing to help us detail those things out.
Right.
That it wasn't so easy to get those answers before, or we use so many of the same products over and over again where it's like, yeah, this may be interchangeable, but everything's changing so quickly and rapidly now that you make one wrong move and you could create a catastrophic failure within your wall assembly.
Yeah, that's a worry. Obviously I think every builder worries about making change and what's it going to do. I think that's the beauty of what I'm doing, is that we're so far behind that I'm just taking kind of the proven systems from your guys' side of the industry and just moving them into post frame. And I mean, I already know it works, because really the only difference is the skeleton. It's a larger timber spanned further apart, but there's no difference on the siding side or the interior side. It's just kind of the structure on the middle. So I feel pretty safe about it. And so far, nothing catastrophic.
I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah.
All right. How old's your son now?
16.
Is he going to end up working with you?
I don't think so, man.
No.
He kind of talked about doing trades. He wanted to do electrical, actually. But my son's he's like a performer, dude. He just did a musical in Newsies. Have you ever heard of Newsies?
No.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big. There's a big part, and he was the lead, and it was awesome. So I'm really, me and my wife are pushing him to keep going, because it's
cool.
That's
pretty
awesome.
pretty amazing. Yeah.
I find that's so interesting, because I had a conversation with my wife and my oldest. She's 7 and she's in the performing arts, and it has literally become the most popular activity in our whole community. All the kids want to be part of it. And I was talking to my wife. I'm like, I don't remember this being a thing when we were kids.
No.
It was like no one was a performer. No one wanted to be up on stage and singing and doing musicals. So it's interesting to hear like your son's 16 and wants to be in that. That's super cool.
Yeah, it is. It's really cool, and it's probably a proud dad moment. But I mean, women were crying because of the performance, and it's like when you get to see your kid do something so successful, it's like you'd do anything to help move them more down that path.
So does he realize that could be a career?
Oh yeah, that's all the gears are moving. So he's gonna be a senior next year, and we're looking at schools. So it was like trade school was gonna be let's say $10,000 a year or something, and now we're talking about a performance arts school. I was like, well, all right, man, we better figure this one out.
Will that be local?
Oh, I doubt it. There's nothing local, really. I mean, you got to go to Chicago. You got to go to an area that if you want to really be successful. And we don't know all those answers yet.
Yeah.
So if anybody does,
just wondering if you're coming to Boston and we're gonna hang out.
I don't know. Maybe.
New York,
I don't.
L.A.
Yeah.
I'll hang out in New York.
You're gonna be building barns in L.A. pretty soon.
I don't know, dude.
I feel like that's not
that's
his
gonna
market.
be you.
Could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
L.A.
Yeah.
You could have a TV show.
So it's just gonna be you and Greg for all of eternity.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, as long as he wants to stick around, and I'll always support him. He's a good friend of mine, and Greg's actually getting married. So
No way.
Really?
Yep, he just got engaged, and
Congrats, Greg.
Yeah, if he decides to do something different, I'll support that. I mean, but also if he wants to continue to grow in the company and earn more and learn more, that's on me, and that's what I'll do.
So did you know him before he started working for you?
I only knew of him, I didn't know him. No.
And how long's he been working for you now?
12 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Damn.
it's a long time.
How are you guys not at each other's throat?
No, I'd say we both know our limitations. We know what, and he's a blessing because I think he puts up with me a lot better.
I've been with you too, and he puts up with a lot of shit.
So but that's it's always.
Can you
give and
dunk
take.
over his head yet?
I can't do that anymore, dude.
Did you ever
How
see
did
that
I know
video?
that was gonna come out, dude?
It's my favorite video I've ever seen on the internet.
It's
I
probably.
was
been
just
a couple
watching it
years.
one night where he tried to dunk and like jump over his head and just.
Well, I did, man.
You straight crotched his face. You did not clear him at all, not even a little bit.
Yeah, maybe. Hard to say. Picture didn't happen. Dude.
It's one of my favorite
It's not
videos
like
I've
it's out
ever
there
seen on the
or nothing.
internet.
You know that went to Funny Stone Videos?
Did you win?
What?
It was literally on their.
Wait, that's still a show?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. My wife had me submit it, and I didn't even know. So they used it. I got a extra triple large T-shirt sent to me, and you had to sign in order to even send it in. So they get rights to it as soon as you send it in, and it was on their like their advertisement that says, hey, Funny Stone Videos on at 5:30 or whatever. And it was like you'd see the picture, and for the longest time, people would message me and be like, so this is weird. But did I just see you like literally stick your crotch in a guy's face on the internet? And it was like, yeah, that was me.
So
Wait,
you
who
knew that you
hosts
didn't
the
clear
show?
him.
I don't I think it was Carlson from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
What?
Yeah, Carlson was doing it. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, it was crazy. So I didn't win. No.
This is on
I won a
TV still?
t-shirt. Yeah.
Who knew?
And
He's in the
not
Midwest.
Yeah.
I thought like the last time I watched it was Bob Saget.
No, he's gone, man.
He
I
died.
know.
Yeah. Sorry.
Going back to Greg for a moment, we were still talking about him, just different subject.
Different way.
Yeah, different way. You say that if he wants to earn more and learn more, that's on you. What does that mean, being like a two-person team? And say he does want to stick around for another 12 plus years.
Yeah, I think it's on him to take on more responsibility. I mean, right now he's a right-hand man. I don't lean on him to run the job site. I don't, if there's a task to be done, I'm the guy with the nail gun. I'm the guy with that's tin snips. I'm the one because it's my name and it's that's my responsibility. I don't pay him for that responsibility. So when he wants it, I always tell him, hey, if you want to earn more, then this is the next step.
But he's good. Like,
But he's good. I
yeah.
mean, he's at the point where he's, not everybody is. I need more money. It's more like there's a balance between earning income and having a clock out time at the end of the day where I don't worry about, did I do that right? Is it going to leak? Did I, is somebody going to have an issue? So I think he enjoys it. I think he enjoys us together. I don't ever yell. I'm a, decent, but I expect, the best always.
Yeah.
But it's not, everybody should expect the best. If you're paying for something, you should at least expect your best. It doesn't have to be perfect.
What about from the social media side and the brand side? Like I know he will sometimes come on some of the trips that you're doing, but does he benefit from that beyond just attending an event or something like that?
I mean, I've tried to get him to be a part of like, whether it's some brand deals where I'm like, hey, let's, I don't really want to do this. I've got my plate full. Let's let you do it. It's not his thing.
Yeah.
It's not what he wants to do.
How old is he?
He's 30. I think that
Wait till he has a couple of kids, and I'll be like, I need a little bit more
that's,
money.
That's what I'm hoping, man, because I tell him all the time, if you want, let's hire a guy. Let's train him together.
I'll do that sock ad.
I don't know how much I wanted until I had kids, and I still don't know how much I want as much as just how much I need to pay for.
Yeah.
Right? Where it's like once I distinctly remember having our first child and walking out of labor and delivery and being like, holy crap, I'm a loser. I have so much crap I have to do. I'm not running a legitimate business. Like, I need to make more. I wanted to leave my wife at the hospital and go work.
Yeah.
And it was like a huge turning point for me.
Yeah. No, I expect a lot of that to happen, and I think that's going to help him grow.
Yeah.
So, and I'm okay with that. I'd set him up with a truck of tools and say, go run a job site.
Yeah.
And you can earn to whatever you can earn,
He could, 12 years, like
he could, I think he could do
it.
90% of it,
Yeah.
and he's not, he doesn't like to do and want to do everything that I do.
Yeah.
So not everybody wants to go out and be a leader and run a crew. I mean, there's a lot of people that just enjoy working with their hands. He still gets to see the end result, the projects that we complete, and it's just as much him, you know? And I think that being kind of a sidekick to my social media, I think he really does secretly enjoy that. And I think that it's a very low risk, high reward thing, because when he does come to the shows, I think people would, I always thought that people would relate more to Greg than me because there's a lot more Gregs in the world than me. And what I mean is not everybody's running a company. And so when you can relate to a guy that's in the same position as you, Greg is that guy. Greg is like, just this cool dude who gets to do cool things.
Yeah.
And not be stressed out, not be having to take all the responsibility of, is this product or system going to be a failure down the road? He gets to just do it. And so it's kind of nice.
Yeah, it is. It's something I've realized recently. A lot of the events I go to, I'm the one going, and every once in a while I try to bring someone from my team. And I had came back from my Builder 20 meeting, and we were sitting down talking, and one of my guys, the director of ops, we were talking about how I was mingling with other owners, and we were chatting with his ops, and he's like, hey, can you introduce me to their director of ops so I can talk to him? And I was like, why am I not doing this? It's like it's always owner to owner.
Yeah.
And I'll talk to their guys, and I'll talk to their PMs and their supers, and I'll learn from it. But that PM should be talking to my PM, and the super should be talking to my super. And there's so much, I think, missed opportunity when you look down the hierarchy that networking isn't happening. And honestly, like right now, they're working. They're getting the job done. They're in it. So, and here I am being awarded the opportunity to sit on a panel at Rockwell and talk to you, but you touching on the fact that more people are relatable to Greg is just further supporting the need to make sure that every tier has that opportunity.
Well, I mean, think about this, Greg. If we're gonna, poor Greg's not here. He is the person that I think needs to be educated.
Yeah.
I mean, if we want to really further the industry, there's only handfuls of us at the top trying to make the industry go away, right? Go a certain way. But if a bunch of people that are working for us are also sharing in that, education and getting to be inspired by new products and all those things, that's, I think, where the most movement could happen. But, it all takes time. I mean, think where we've been in the last 5 years and how far it's moved.
That's the other thing that if he started with you when he was 18, he probably had other jobs, but they were like jobs when you're a kid, right? So this is his only job as an adult has been with you. And while you look at 12 years and it's been insane growth, when you're in that growth, it's very slow. You don't realize. So Greg, although this may seem like he has the most ideal situation and opportunity presented to him, this is just all he knows. This is life. and he may not see this. He may not see all of the potential and opportunity right in front of him because this is all he ever knows for work.
I always say a different way. I always say, Greg, you may think that the grass is greener, dude, but it's not worth it. You don't want to leave. It's pretty good right here.
Yeah,
That's what
I mean.
say.
That's what I look
know?
at his. I look at his position, and I'm like, damn. I kind of wish I was Greg. Like hearing you talk, you kind of wish you were Greg some days.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I mean, that's...
So you're envious, but you got to make sure that you don't become resentful.
Oh, no. I think the main thing is, as an owner, my thought is always find a way to pay whatever that value is being brought to the table, and just share in the success, and it's not always easy because, yeah, I'm here doing this and he's at home working. But I asked him if he wanted to come. I'd give him a paid week to come here and learn and go meet people and do things, but not everybody wants to do that.
He didn't want to.
No. It's weird.
He's probably not working at home.
He did send me some pictures. He got something done.
Pre-recorded.
Yeah, that's fine. As long as it got done, I don't care if it took him an hour or 10 days.
Yeah.
It's whatever. I don't care. That's all good.
10 days in Vegas, that's too long.
Oh, no, that would be miserable. Yeah.
Well, Kyle, I appreciate you being on the live episode here in the Rockwell booth at the Builder Show.
It's awesome. I don't think I looked at that camera one time,
Oh,
I didn't even know there was a camera there.
but I am now, so we'll just leave with a nice...
Sorry, Doug.
It's there.
Yeah, appreciate you being on. I hadn't realized how long it's been since we last chatted, but
No,
it's
it's
cool.
good.
It's cool to see that you have been on this path and you just continue to refine. Ultimately, like everyone's goal is to do projects that they are inspired to do, and and to just bring it back a moment that pipeline of work that I ask about. I struggle with that question a lot, where it's like in my mind, my gut reaction is I want 2 to 3 years of pipeline. But I worry about the same thing. It's like, well, I just a cool job just came across my plate the other day, and they're like, we want to start this year. And it's like, the reality is, like, I probably can't do that, but I could figure it out. But it would be nice to have more flexibility. So for you to see where you've started and grown with social and grown your business to be in what I would consider an ideal situation of considering each and every project as whether or not it's a good fit. I congratulate you on.
Cool, man. Well, I appreciate that, and it's always good to be on the podcast with you guys, even though I've only done it a couple times.
Well, we'll get you scheduled for another one.
It's
all good.
So
Well, give me a couple years again or something, so I can
No, we're gonna do it.
we've been working to get Greg on, but it hasn't come to fruition yet.
that. I would.
That's
I
why
would-
Greg didn't come to Vegas.
Yeah, I didn't want to share them with you guys.
So I've known you for quite a long time, and I even had a conversation with Ellie from Andersen last night, and I was like, "What do you think of Kyle?" And you were very down to earth, very humble, and I knew you like at the tail end of your remodeling career when you first started and getting on social and everything else. And although I wouldn't consider us like super close, every interaction I have with you, you're still the exact same person with everything that's come and all the accolades and everything else. So it's really cool to see that not go to your head and remain humble and remain grateful and positive and modest and everything else. So it's really nice to see.
I appreciate that, man. I really do.
For sure.
Awesome.
I would argue that I feel as though we are really close because I get confused. People think I'm you.
Yeah.
I did get shipped a bunch of your
Like, are you
product at
Kyle?
one
Oh,
time.
Yeah, you did get shipped my product once. So, yeah. No, it's good, man. And obviously what you guys are doing for the industry, and you guys have been super consistent. And, I don't know who else has been this consistent on a podcast as you guys. So, hats off to you guys as well. So,
Appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
cool. All right, let's all hug now.
Us or everyone.
Signing out from the Rockwell booth here at the International Builder Show 2024.